Yeah. There's a guideline.
There's no trouble getting in city hall.
Would say a commission member is recognized, you and a commission member. I like these. It says, if you started for the 30th. That's what they want to say. That's a must shot. He has a lot of it. And, this is good for. I think I like it.
Yeah, I'm.
Yeah. I was thinking the 26th. Yeah, it's, I was thinking 10 days, but it gets you over the weekend and just bumps it over the 30th. You're gonna speak first. Yeah.
Letting council time.
And people that wanna,
I just wanted to make sure.
people that wanna make comments. Sign the plan.
I went to city hall today.
Andrew.
You did.
Are you here? Oh, was that it?
Oh. That's a special.
Yeah. Six.
No, we're gonna release it.
Okay.
Because the camera's literally right.
Oh,
on you.
okay.
So that's why this. I know. I just said literally. Was that it was not? It was not.
Let him see what was on screen, but also did that. Well, Vic's here.
We're on screen. Figure out his presentation can be on the camera or.
I have his 3 slides.
Get to the Zoom, I've already. They're having the membership. It's not. You went to Captain DeMarco myself. It's hard for Brittany. She was, but you know that. Financial.
She has.
She didn't. I didn't start to do this. Well, apparently they're not.
Financial audit every year.
You
Or
on?
at least a financial review.
Well, at least he knew where the meeting was. I called him.
I sent it in many emails. About
I just looked at the date. I don't.
And we put a sign on the door. It's our city hall.
Yeah, I saw him get out. He got out of his car and went to the door. I didn't walk up to the door. I just knew there wasn't, and I said, "Gee, we're talking about having a meeting somewhere else." So I called Dan. It's easier than looking at the 800 emails. I don't know what happened to the email last week. All I can think is that maybe when I erased the 80 extra emails that come, I accidentally erased it or something. That's the other email.
Why didn't he just walk?
If I knew it was here, I'd just walk.
It is major notice, did you?
I didn't. I just saw the date. That's the problem.
Next time I'm gonna just text you and say.
I mean, 400.
That's why you get an extra text a day, so everyone gets.
I'm hanging 450 pieces of art at Carroll Lincoln Village, and my brain has melted. Because I have to pick it out, get it ready, take it over there. Yeah. And my team has to hang it up. Oh, that's nice. How come yours was almost taller than all your brothers?
Except my little brother. But this was at the ribbon.
That's great. That's wonderful.
Yeah, they were- they-
Nope. Okay.
He's from that family.
You want me to give him the sign sheet?
I used to say that, take us to events and stuff. If I buy it, it's my money. And everyone else gives.
Oh, I know how.
Yeah, that's not.
And what's he not read? What is anybody else?
There's some food sugar. I think. Yeah. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Appreciate you coming to tonight's meeting on the Planning and Zoning Commission. We have one major item of business, which is a public hearing on a local map amendment. But we're gonna have to take care of some other business before we get to that. So approval of minute summary. I guess have you guys all been able to look at the minutes? I guess we could make a motion to approve both in one motion.
Okay, well, I was at the first one, I wasn't at the second.
I'll make a motion.
Okay.
Motion's been made to approve the minutes of May 16th, 2024, and May 29th, 2024. There a second?
Yeah.
Motion been made and seconded to approve the minutes. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? The ayes have it, the motion carries. Minutes are approved. Okay, new business, that is the item A, public hearing on local map amendment LMA 2402. If anybody seeks to make comments, if you could please sign in on the sign-in sheet, because I'll call names off of that once we get to that part of the hearing. The first item will be for the planning director to provide information and background on the request.
Thank you, and good evening. So, the applicant, which before you tonight is zoning map amendment LMA 2402 for 222 East Green Street. The applicant, A&M LLC, submitted a request and concept development plan for, at the time, Sunny Place condominiums. I believe the name has changed to A1 Urban Condominiums. And the proposal was to amend the zoning map for 222 East Green Street by superimposing the compatible neighborhood overlay zone, or CN zone, over the existing R7500 residential zone, with the intent of constructing a multiple family development. We'll take you through the site. So what's before you is the location of the property. It's located in the western quadrant of the intersection of East Green Street and Ralph. This is East Green Street here, Ralph Street. And this is the property in question. The property is, again, is existing R7500 zone. It is located in the Westminster Historic District. Property has a land designation of urban residential in the City of Westminster Comprehensive Plan. And the property is located within W1 water service area and S1 sewer service area. Pursuant to zoning ordinance section 164-176, an application for an amendment to the zoning map covering a single tract, which this is considered a local map amendment. Local map amendment is an application to amend the zoning map, may be made by any governmental agency or any person with financial, contractual, or proprietary interest in the property to be affected by the proposed amendment. In this case, the applicant is the contract purchaser of the property. As the request is to superimpose the CN zone over the R7500 zone, the applicant does not have to meet the stringent legal standards for change or mistake, as is required for an individual piecemeal rezoning. Pursuant to zoning ordinance 164-45-15, relationship to underlying zone, the CN zone shall be placed only over property located in the city's R7500 or R10,000 residential zones. The requisite of the underlying zone are modified and superseded by those contained in this article at the request of the applicant and approval of a detailed site plan by the Planning and Zoning Commission. And this view is just from the street view of East Green Street, and you can see the property. There's one structure on it. At one point, it was used for auto sales by the business across the street, but that has ceased to operate for quite some time now. So the applicant again is proposing a multiple family structure. This is the concept development plan. That is a requirement of this process. The shaded blue area, this is East Green Street. And this is Ralph Street, and this is Sycamore. This is Sycamore Street. The building itself, you can see fronts on East Green Street. Parking is located to the rear. That's this gray area. There's a green strip behind the parking area, and that is separating the proposed development with the existing residential that surrounds it. The applicant is proposing to extend Sycamore Road all the way through, as well as provide sidewalks around the property fronting along all streets. On May 29th, the LMA 2402 was introduced to the Planning and Zoning Commission. And the Planning and Zoning Commission voted to forward the project to a future work session. As introduced, initially the project was 2 buildings. You'll see now it's 1 solid building. This was brought up in the work session. The ordinance did not require that it be 2 buildings. It can be 1 building holding multiple uses and multiple units. And just the view, and with this also, as part of the work session and introduction, they provided 2 options. There's a 3-story option and a 4-story option for this multifamily development. I'll go over the first option, the 3-story option. So you can tell from the site plan, this is East Green Street. The building fronts on East Green Street, parking to the rear, the grass strip, and the surrounding neighborhood or community. This is the view of East Green Street. And Sycamore Corner. You'll see that they're proposing parking along East Green Street, a little bump out for traffic calming and the 3-story model. A couple more views of East Green Street and how it relates to the surrounding community, and then the rear elevations. The 4-story option, again, building still along East Green Street, parking and grass area. So it's identical to site layout and design of the 3-story option. Again, the only change here is the added story. So again, the same view of East Green Street. The East Green Street perspective showing its impact or how it relates to the surrounding community, and then the rear of the building itself. On August 29th, 2024, the Planning and Zoning Commission held a work session for LMA 2402. And as I say, the applicant revised its submission to go to the 3-story to 4-story. I believe the 3-story is a 48-unit project, where the 4-story will allow for 64 units. The 48 units of a 3-story will be 24 1-bedroom and 24 2-bedroom. While the 4-story and 64 units would be 30 1-bedroom units and 34 2-bedroom units. And on September 4th, 2024, the Historic District Commission did review LMA 2402 and provided referral comments. They were provided to the Planning Commission in a letter. And there are representatives in the Historic District Commission that can speak to that. Again, I'm sorry, this goes over what we just stated. The Planning Commission was introduced on 5/29, Planning Commission special meeting on 8/29. Planning Commission referral, tonight is the public hearing. Following the public hearing, the Planning and Zoning Commission will submit a report and recommendation to the zoning administrator, which ultimately is packaged with if we go forward to the Mayor and Common Council. And with that, LMA 2402, an ordinance will be created from the report and recommendation provided by the Planning Commission. And that ordinance will be scheduled for a Mayor and Common Council meeting. And again, as is stated, the report and recommendation will be provided at that Mayor and Common Council public hearing. So again, the Planning Commission's role is to provide a recommendation to the superimposing of the compatible neighborhood zone of the R7500 zone to the Mayor and Common Council. And with that, staff is just recommending the Planning and Zoning Commission review zoning map amendment LMA 2402 and provide comments and recommendations to the Mayor and Common Council. That completes my report.
Okay, thank you. Any commission members have any questions of Mark or the staff? Okay, next is the applicant, Bill Mitzak.
Yes, good evening, everybody. Thank you very much for coming over tonight and discussing this project. Mr. Depot did a very good presentation. He touched base of all elements of the proposed development, and I just wanted to add some specifics that.
Would you mind speaking up a little bit? I'm having a little bit of
Yes, sir.
trouble here.
Yes, sir.
Just in the acoustics of this
Well,
room.
first of all, my name is Bill Metzak. I'm the owner and the development of this property, and I also have a partner that we both trying to develop it. So for the proposed development, we look at the different concept, and we arrived after discussing with the architect that one solid building would be the best approach and the best utilization of the site. I just want to mention that we provide all the requirements on site. We are not asking for any waivers. All 100% of required stormwater management will be provided on site. All 100% of required parking spaces will be provided on site, and we are not accounting for the existing parking spaces along the Green Street. It's in addition to what we're providing. As Mr. Depot explains that we are going to extend the Sycamore Street and improve the circulation around the site, because this site by itself, it's entire city block. That's what it is. We're also going to improve the turning radius in each of the corner of those developments for the better traffic circulation. And we're also providing the sidewalk around the site for the pedestrian safety and pedestrian circulation. And that pretty much is what I wanted to add. And I'm available to answer any of the questions that you need.
You want to go, you provided some additional slides. Do you want to, I can bring those up. Do you want to go over any of those?
Yes, I just wanted to bring, after the meeting with the Historic Commission, it was brought to our attention that building not really fit in the historic district. Everybody has opinion, and I also, I'm not going to argue with opinions, but I think that the building fits very well. I think at the modern times, old and new can coexist perfectly and in harmony. And there is a lot of good examples around the country, around the city, even the neighboring city. During our meeting with the historic committee, it was brought that Frederick is a good example. And I just brought 6 pictures as a good example that the modern architecture perfectly meets the historic district, and it looks great. When we looked on I pulled this map yesterday from the Westminster website, and this square basically shows the location of our site. So the site is almost on the edge of the historic district, but it's not really that important. I'm just trying to say that I'm here to get all the comments and hear all the opinion, but it's very well common that the modern architecture fits very well in the historic district, in the state of Maryland, and in most conservative districts, historic districts. I also have some other exhibits that basically indicates all the surrounding homes around this site, and that's pretty much it.
Commission members have any questions at this point?
Not at this time.
Okay. You have anything further at this point?
Not at this point, sir. I'm available to answer any questions you may have.
Okay. On the sign-in sheet. And we're gonna go to the sign-in sheet now for anybody that wants to make comments. This will be the opportunity to do that. We'll just go in the order the names are listed.
You can come up to the podium to speak.
We have 2 representatives of the HDC. Chris Amadori, you're first on the list.
On deck.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Christine Amadori, and I'm on the Historic District Commission. I serve as vice chair. One of our other members is Grace Kelly here. She was able to join. The other members were not able to join tonight. Chris McMasters, who is the chair, Unfortunately, she had a prior engagement, so could not be here, and she really has the expertise with this. So that said, we've heard this the Historic District Commission heard this presentation before, and we are happy, and we understand the need of having, some more housing, affordable housing, nicer housing in Westminster. But it is in the historic district, and so I don't know if you all saw the report so since Chair McMaster is the one that wrote it, I'm just gonna go over the 3 points that she wrote, and then I'll make some comments about that. So while we are happy that there's going to be some construction there, some new housing, there are 3 points that that the Historic District Commission as a whole would like to point out that that should be considered. So the first one is the closeness of the front facade to the street, so that someone is traveling through the historic district. The historic homes are set approximately the same distance from the curb as the new residential homes. We also thought that the mass of the proposed building with 4 stories would essentially overwhelm the existing neighborhood, dwarfing Winchester Place and blocking views of the buildings, which are remarkably well intact and flow with the rest of the residential settings in the immediate neighborhood and the surrounds. And then the last thing that we all sort of agreed on was the exterior finishes look very boxy. The windows and the faux balconies made the entire project look just too modern for that area to complement the existing architecture around that district. So, and then during that meeting, we did pull up some other architecture around town in the historic district for scale and examples. That said, so we're not saying don't build. What we're just asking for is for the construction and design to be a little more sympathetic with the existing architecture around there, have it blend a little more. And so the one thing that I would point out, I'm not sure when the Historic District Commission was established, but we all see prior to the Historic District Commission being established, and we don't have a lot of teeth, except for new construction, that you can see what everybody and people could just do what they wanted to do. So I think that we should consider this. You should consider this. Consider some of these suggestions. And if you have other questions, Chris McMasters is the person to ask, because she's the one that has the expertise and has done this as a career. So
Okay, any questions of Ms. Amadori? Okay, thank you very much. Next is Grace Kelly.
She was speaking on my behalf.
Okay, all right, just wanted to make sure. All right, next we have Ken Kazmarski.
I didn't necessarily have questions. I was just letting you know I was here. The only question I would have is the access to the building will be primarily from the rear or from Green Street?
Thinking,
So the first floor units will have access, all units will have main access from the rear, but first floor units will have access from the east wing as well. Only first floor units. So there will be 7 individual entrances from Green Street.
And will any of the units facing Green Street be commercial as opposed to?
No,
resident.
all of them will be residential units.
Oh, okay.
So if I
So 7 entrances.
7 entrances from Green Street, but they are secondary entrances. They are not primary. The unit owner will have ability to walk out from the units to the Green Street, but main entrance still will be from the parking lot from the back.
So if I could, so Green Street, the building, you'll see no access from Green Street directly. The side streets will provide access to the parking lot behind. So you'd have to come down and pull in. You can see these two access points here to get into the row of parking. And then what was being discussed is the 7 access points are to the building itself. So somebody living on the first condominium on the first floor can access the building directly, their unit directly from the street, while the second and third floors would have to go into the building to hallways to access the units on the floors above. So those are the 7 access points, that pedestrian front door access into the first floor units.
And that's just into the units, that's not into central hallways.
You walk directly into your unit from the street, then there will be a central entrance way to elevators and hallways to access upper floors and units.
And it's 2 units deep, I'm guessing.
Yes.
Okay, so the parking, the entrances, so I'm across the street, so I won't be able to use that parking spots at all.
Any parking along Green Street is public parking.
I understand that.
Yeah, the parking behind the building, it's on private property. But the parking that's being created, that's being shown here, is open to the public.
Right.
And it's not being used to meet
But
their
it will be,
requirements.
so it won't be designated for, just for that,
It will not.
but there will be more traffic on that then.
The traffic obviously would increase due to the residential development through Green Street, but not to a point that's substantial, or it'll be negligible.
With 60 units.
Can I ask?
Mr. Huff, go ahead.
Yes, if I could ask a question of clarification, just that something was, it, from the different elevations that we were shown between the 3-story and 4-story. And maybe this is a question for the developer. It looks like the building is actually set back a little bit from the sidewalk. How far back are you showing it set from the sidewalk?
So there is exactly 20 feet from the face of the curb. We are proposing 10 feet wide sidewalk for pedestrians, and there will be.
Could you speak? I'm sorry, I have hearing aids and you were too quiet.
Sorry about that. So what we proposing is right now the distance from the face of the curb to the face of the building is 20 feet. We are proposing 20 feet wide sidewalk, but within this sidewalk, there will be 5 tree pits with the trees. So the actual passing lane will be 6 feet. And there is another 10 feet separation from the edge of the sidewalk to the face of the building. So there's
Okay,
totally-
so the sidewalk is 20 feet,
The
the
sidewalk
sidewalk
is
is 10 feet.
10 feet, and then that green.
The green
That's
space
10
is
feet.
10 feet.
10 feet, okay, that's what I wanna know, so the sidewalk's 10 feet, and then that little patch of green is 10 feet.
Yeah, so if we're looking.
Okay, so it's kind of from the edge of the sidewalk, right now, the building is set back about 10 feet.
20 feet.
20 feet, so if you look.
No, I'm saying the inside edge of the sidewalk, from the inside.
Yes.
It's 10 feet.
Is there a setback requirement in the zone?
No, the CN zone,
No.
it's by design.
Flexible.
It's Flexible,
Okay,
yes.
got it. All right.
It's,
I do have a question.
Okay.
On the setback. Is the setback of the proposed building in line with the adjacent houses on the other side of Sycamore Street? So they basically line up front to front across Green Street with the existing houses.
it's anywhere. I'm sorry, so I did look at, I looked at these houses, the setbacks along here. It's anywhere between 15 and 25 feet. The setback for the adjacent one, I believe, was about 20 feet, something comparable to this.
So basically, they're lining up along Green Street. The front of the buildings are lining up.
Yeah, and we can, and as we get further through, we can certainly ensure that it matches and similar to, as was brought up by the HTC. But it's comparable, it was anywhere surrounding this area, anywhere between 15 to 25 feet, and this is 20 feet. So it's within that area, that range of what you see in the community.
Yeah, it appears, looking on the Green Street, just from the Google map, you go down there, it looks like. If you look at some of the other buildings, they're set back anywhere from 10 to 20 feet or
Yeah.
something like that. You know, I mean, someone would go out there with a tape measure and see, and I'm talking about the inside edge of the sidewalk,
Yes,
so.
And we can put that in easy redaction. We just think that some green space in front of the building is also beneficial for the pedestrian. and for the-
No, it's just a comment. We don't have to, yeah, it's a comment. Just curious.
Any further questions from commission members? Okay,
Will, the picture seems to show balconies. Will
Yes.
those be useful balconies or?
Yes.
just- So they'll, okay.
Well, not those, not that showed right there in the rear, but there was some discussion, I think we had discussion about balconies.
there was, yeah, the discussion was whether they are like fake balconies where there's really no space, or you have a regular balcony. So under the original plan, only the units to the rear would have a balcony. So if you were in the front, you wouldn't have a balcony. And I guess we talked about, it didn't make a lot of sense. But if you were gonna do a balcony, make it a balcony that somebody could actually sit on. If that's what they chose.
We're currently implementing some of those changes, that's why I don't have the latest and greatest plans with me, but yes, we are proposing a balconies both in front and in the back of the building.
And this probably goes backward, but are these rental units or for purchase units?
It was represented to us, they would be purchase units.
So they'll be owned.
Owned by it, yeah.
Or at least they'll be separate owned, not a single building.
Like a Parks Ridge type development, yeah.
I did have a question, the HDC did bring up about a height interfering with the height or being greater than the height of the Winchester Inn behind it. Between the first floor of the proposed building and the Winchester Inn, do you have any idea approximately how much difference in elevation between those two are? So
I can tell you.
are the first
that-
floors at the same elevation, or are the first floors once higher, so it sits higher?
So that graph depicts every single building in around the block and its height. The first floor elevation, as you can see, is the side sloping up at the back door of Winchester. So those buildings along Winchester Avenue, they are sitting higher. So if you see the top of the Winchester Hotel is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 feet would be higher than proposed 4 stories building. The rest of the buildings, they will be slightly lower, but as you can see, 2 buildings will be still remain taller than the proposed development with.
So basically, the elevations of the floor levels in the Winchester Inn will be roughly the same elevation as each of the floor levels in the new building.
That's correct. The Winchester is 3 stories with a pitched roof, but since it's sit higher, that's why it will be a little bit higher than proposed development.
Any further questions? Okay, yeah, go ahead.
So I'm looking at the picture of the Winchester Inn, and I see that it's actually the roof line is a little bit taller than what would be the 4-story, is that correct?
That's correct. Top of the roof will be, yes.
Yeah. I mean, the Historic District Commission, we feel that the 3-story, as most of the buildings in the area are 3-story, is what we would recommend
Winchester building.
for it to be sympathetic with the rest of Historic District Commission buildings.
Okay. Anything further? Okay, hearing no further comments, the public hearing is now closed. And I will entertain a motion from the commission to close the public record for local map amendment LMA 2402, 222 East Green Street at 5 p.m. on Monday, September 30th. So written comments can be received up to that date. The public may submit comments into the public record by sending them in writing to the planning department at 45 West Main Street, or submitting comments by email to planning@westminstermaryland.gov. Those comments will be considered in the same manner as those made today. Is there a motion from the commission to close the public record on September 30th?
Make a motion. To close this meeting, but hold the public record open until September 30th.
Is there any questions?
At 5 p.m., correct? On the
At 5,
30th.
yes,
At 5 p.m.
Yeah, okay.
Any questions? All in favor, say aye.
Do we need a second? Do we make a second? Yeah, I'll make a second.
Okay. Motion been made and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ayes have it. Does the commission wish to begin its discussion regarding the map amendment or forward the map amendment to a future meeting for further deliberation and recommendation?
Personally, Chair, I would like to go ahead and talk about it at our next meeting, because I'd like some time to consider to think about it.
Yes.
So I move that we forward the local map amendment LMA 2402 to the commission's regular meeting on October 17th for further deliberation.
I second that motion. That way we'll also have a chance to look at any additional comments that are said in it.
All right, motion's been made and seconded to forward local map amendment to the commission for deliberation on October 17th. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, no. The ayes have it. Thank you very much for participating in this part of the meeting. The next item will be the Carroll County Liaison.
And that's me. I'm doing it on their behalf
So we
tonight.
don't have a county rep yet.
We do not.
We're gonna have to talk to them about that, you know?
Yeah.
They have an opening if you're interested.
I'm retired. That's those securities companies.
So, the water and sewer master plan, the, fall 2024 amendment process is currently going on right now. And they're currently updating the amendment procedures and applications. And the last cycle of the amendment process has been approved by Maryland Department of the Environment. So that is exciting for us because we did have, an amendment as part of the last update. So
What was that? What did you want?
Walnut Ridge, there was 2 properties. I'm not sure if you remember.
Oh, that's
two.
right, you're up against the
against
new
Stone
big
Gate.
development. Yeah,
Yeah,
okay,
and
got it.
so, we had put them inside of the water and sewer service areas. They had been, their weirdness of taking out one for water, one, then another for sewer.
Okay.
So they are now back in the service area. The text amendments, the housing is,
Where was that location at again?
their property is right next to Stonegate. It's Walnut Ridge, section 9, I believe it is.
The access from Walnut Ridge, not through, well, we are with this plan potentially getting a connection to Stonegate. To one of those, to Walnut Ridge, which would be nice, but ultimately that has to come through the process for annexation, so you will see. Not only the annexation petition.
To get the water and sewer, they have to come in the city.
Yep.
Yes.
I got it.
And then
Okay.
also, the planning and zoning commission will see the preliminary subdivision plans for both
I
properties as
just
well,
wanted
so
to
yeah.
make sure I knew where it was at.
Is that for both water and sewer?
So text amendments, the Housing Expansion and Affordability Act. The Board of County Commissioners voted in July to forward this discussion to their planning commission. The amendments being discussed due to state legislation. They are having, county planning commission conversations. They just had them this week, and so, they're gonna let us know about any additional conversations that are gonna be happening in the future. The solar site design requirements, planning commission, forwarded a recommendation to the Board of County Commissioners on September 4th. And, these requirements are being discussed due to multiple applicants to the Maryland Public Service Commission. Yeah.
Is this like the solar farms? Where they would put those solar things on farmland? to-
So, the county doesn't allow solar facilities on the ag zone, so there's no site design requirements right now. And the amendment would establish a possible site development requirement for
Well,
those properties.
Well, they did.
They did have it.
They did have it,
And then they didn't.
They didn't. And
Now going
now,
back and putting it back in.
hello, here's the state of Maryland. It's like, anyway.
So just is the stuff being discussed about the state, is that resulting from the commission you served on?
No, that was the accessory dwelling.
That's different.
Yeah,
Okay.
totally different thing.
Okay,
No,
And there's-
but I was on planning commission. It's been a while.
Mhm.
I was on that the county planning commission when we first started working on the solar. Cause the whole idea was to allow solar on ag land under very specific
yeah.
circumstances. Because of the fear that it was that if you did not, the state would come in and force you to. Well, anyway, I won't go too far down the rabbit hole of commentary. The county in their infinite wisdom decided to overrule that provision, okay?
Code.
And then, now this is what's happening, is now the Maryland Public Service Commission is coming in, well, we don't care whether you don't allow it at all. You can supersede, so so now it's a whole another issue, and now they don't have any regs to guide it, so
And the
it's a
public-
mess.
that sounds like that electrical liability project where the state has tremendous authority sometimes
Yes.
to come in here and do what they want.
Correct.
It's not always the best solution because local control then goes out the window.
Yeah, that's what happened with the solar farms. It's,
Yes.
the Public Service Commission could sit there and approve, and the county has no requirements that they can enforce on. And they can be as large as the
And they-
commission
you know,
approves them.
I think, I'll say one thing, having been involved here in this area since 1987, I think that our county has done a remarkable job in preserving agricultural land in like a condensed area where it actually matters. And anything that really works against that really works against all that work that's been done here in this county. That kind of concerns me a little bit.
Yeah. I think we're still
You're
the
right.
top 5 in the nation for ag preservation.
I mean, no matter whoever the board was, they always, had a goal and they never lost sight of that. So if some outside entity, be it the state or whoever, changes that, I think that's a problem for me.
Yeah, like I say, the county removed that part of the code,
I think they should.
controlling
Yeah.
solar. Yeah, I know one farm.
Well, you was a zoning guy doing
Yeah,
all this.
I know one farm down in South Carroll that was originally going to be limited to 20 acres, which is what the county code allowed. But then people who were in on that project decided to put in almost the whole farm into the Public Service Commission hearing, so it would have been about 100 acres.
Personally, it's not my business at this point in time, but like, I think the county would have been wise to keep what they had in play.
Very
Because
much
then
so.
you could make the argument that you actually allow it, but the problem is once you take it out, then it kind of, so it's. Welcome to the tension between, the state, the county, and,
Well, when
another game
when
that
it comes to
everybody-
land use, that's always been tension.
yes.
About who makes the decisions. And it's always been a tradition in Maryland of local control. So when you
Correct.
change that, you're really changing the equation.
Yes.
And, oh, well.
And so far, I think there's 3 projects right now outstanding going through this process. All 3 are not located within the city's growth area, so.
What process?
This
Public Service.
Public Service Commission process, it's they have, I guess, public hearings are coming up shortly for these, but again, it's won't affect our growth area, because none of the projects are located within it.
Good.
Yeah, and like I said, the county, when they had it, they had some pretty restrictive requirements for them.
I thought
I
what we
worked a
came up
couple
with was
years
a good
on it.
it was a good compromise.
And there's no agricultural, there's not studies for agricultural farms, solar farms, that you can still farm the property with animals and crop are still all around these solar panels. So there's ways you can still preserve in some fashion farm.
So just one last piece.
Okay.
The master plan, they have started, at least discussions. So planning staff met with the Board of County Commissioners in late August. They just had a joint meeting between the commissioners and the planning commission this week. So public outreach activities are being planned for the fall, and they're gonna launch a new website soon. That's all I got.
Okay, thank you. Any questions, further questions? Okay, old business? Do we have anything? Okay. Information items?
we're getting Hangry Joe's at the Westminster Station.
What's that?
It's another chicken place, but it's
What kind of chicken?
spicy chicken. Hangry Joe's.
Right next door, or
Red
right
chicken?
by, they're also
It's-
doing,
Korean barbecue,
Oh.
but and it's the first
Oh,
in the
that's
state. I think this is the first.
Oh, that's awesome.
Oh, no, it's not the first in the state. I'm sorry. Sorry. That's right. Yeah. So Hangry Joe's.
but Chicken Salad Chick is also going in that
Oh,
complex.
that's the first one.
We'll have all the chicken covered in
We are
that.
good on chicken.
It's in the strip center with
Sprouts.
Sprouts. It'll be going into that with Honey Grow and First Watch and.
Sprouts was quite nice. I went in there the first weekend. And they have a lot of really good stuff in it.
Yeah, it's a nice store.
Yeah, good produce and things like that.
Anecdotally, I was at the ribbon cutting, that morning that they opened. And there was a line, it must have been well over 100,
Oh, yeah.
waiting to get in there. So it was very cool to see what excitement there was in the community.
Definitely, yeah, they did a good,
So and I think that's good for Westminster when people see that kind of excitement, because then it encourages other,
yeah.
other retailers to look at us more seriously.
Yeah, nobody opens up a business like Westminster.
Yeah.
Raising Cane, same height, it was, and Outback and.
It all
and
builds.
Continued, yes, it's nice to see.
Growing city. It's nice to see.
Yeah.
Okay, planning commission comments, anything further?
I had one question, and I guess it's really an irrelevant question. There's section 140 Corson Trade where they started construction across from McDonald's.
Valvoline.
That's good, still valid. I was just
Valvoline and
curious.
St. Milton's, yeah, they're working on all of the site work now.
I was just curious, if it was still Valvoline.
Is that city or county?
City.
City.
Okay.
We approved that. That was a while ago.
that was a while
during-
ago, yeah.
We were still zooming at that point in
Yeah.
time. if I remember.
Oh, well, that's-
It's been a while
It's
ago.
been that
Still
long.
Valvoline.
Yeah, they had some stormwater things they had to work through, and then they finally went, and then, so it's been a while for sure.
Okay. All right, I entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
So moved.
Second.
Motion been made and seconded to adjourn. Any questions? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no, the meeting's adjourned.